Going live just as Natasha's adjusting her spectacles there.
No, I honestly, these glasses need changing. They're like filthy, and I keep cleaning them, but nothing happens.
Well, there's the spectacles update for you for the resident podcast for the week ending the 28th of August, 2026. And it feels like summer's drawing to a close, does it not, Natasha? I mean, in terms of tourism and the peak of the season, as it were.
Yeah, I guess it's. We've still got total madness in Aljezur, right. And we've got madness now, real crazy madness for another 2 days, because we have this end of August party, which is our municipal holiday as well, and we have music going until 4 a.m, so loud that your house actually vibrates.
All of that, yeah, absolutely. The bass line,
and we have a horrible selection of people playing tonight. One of the groups is called the Wet Bed Gang.
Yes, the Wet Bed Gang are very popular. It's not a pleasant name, though, is it?
I just keep calling him the bedwetting the gang. And,
that's probably not what they mean.
I don't understand why you would call yourself Wet Bed Gang.
It's probably one part of me, the curious part of me, says, let's find out. The other, more sensible part of me is like, let's move on and talk about the news this morning.
Exactly. Who are these people? And why do they want to wet the bed?
Jackie. Welsh Jackie's here. Fantastic to catch you live. Lovely to see you as well, Welsh Jackie. We're looking at 3 news stories this morning. The Rolex heist in Lisbon. Portugal airports, or the airports, principally, it'd be all of them, wouldn't it? Lisbon, Porto, and Faro. I'm not sure where else people fly into Portugal, but they probably do. And PJ scrutinizing the life and past of the driver who ran over 16 people in Albufeira in the last week, which is grim. The news, international news, of course, overshadowed by the horrific floods in Nepal. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, quite frankly, Natasha.
Oh, it was so horrific. And those poor people running around that electrical center where the water just...
Yep. Oh. Yes, it's horrific. And pleased to see that 1 missing Portuguese national has been found.
3.
Of the 4.
3 are still missing.
3 still missing there. So I don't know. What can you say in those sort of circumstances? I mean, thoughts and prayers just simply don't cut the mustard, really, do they? But it was, it was stunning and
I mean, the thing, the tragedy is that is an area that is also used to these kind of disasters because of its geological, geographical, everything, location. They're going to have to now. They've agreed. They're going to have to start building, away from rivers because there's such a height
precarious, isn't it?
From the Himalayas.
Current theory is a glacial melt, isn't it, that's caused the flash flooding to occur. Yeah. Peter also here, looking forward to seeing you this weekend. Oh, that's very good. More of a glacier landslide, and having been to those villages, it is the difficulty accessing people with bridges and roads out. Solar Life Portugal has been there by the sound of it. We come closer to home now and look at this Rolex heist in Lisbon, leaving 1 dead. What happened here, Natasha?
Well, it was confused because the story we wrote was according to the stories that were going at the time, but that has since slightly changed. But basically, it's the same thing. It's South American stroke Brazilian criminals that come over specifically to do these motorcycle kind of heists in wealthy areas or in areas that they've staked out where they know there are people leaving, for instance, luxury hotels and who've got Rolexes or lots of jewelry or whatever. They plan it all and then they just corral them at a certain point and hold them up at gunpoint and demand their valuables. This particular operation went wrong.
This person who was attacked was having none of it by the sound of it.
Well, no. Funnily enough, he's since said that's not actually what happened.
Oh, okay.
He since said he was so terrified that when he got back into his car and they'd taken the 2 Rolexes from him and his passenger and some bracelets, it now appears, a total value of about 100,000 euros. He says when he got back into his car, he still had a gun pointing at his head. So he simply ducked his head and tried to get
Drove
away
at
by
speed.
putting his foot on the accelerator. And in doing so, he inadvertently hit or clipped one of the bikers. That biker then kind of wobbled and fell off his bike and was run over by another car, apparently.
Good heavens.
But
Right.
it's all been very confused because everybody who was involved in this then fled the scene.
Wow. Okay.
But anyways, it's
Suiso is
coming
the
out.
man in question here. He sounds like an interesting character with the name of Suiso, but what this is like something from a Hollywood movie, isn't it? The way
I
this is
know,
turned
but
out.
this is the thing. This is what seems to. I mean, I know it's very unpopular to say this, but unfortunately, these scenes from Hollywood movies seem to be becoming more and more common, even in little backwaters like Portugal. I mean, we've got a terrible problem going on in, I think it's Seychelles and another place where they just armed men keep attacking jewelry shops and pawn shops.
There's been a little bit of a spike, it would appear, causing some concern. Certainly, I can own that personally. It feels like crime is rising in Portugal, but it is very specific. Once you take a look, it is specific geographically and types of crime, isn't it? I think generally speaking, we live in a safe country. We should add, perhaps.
Well, generally speaking, of course, we live in a safe country because generally speaking, the Portuguese are incredibly law-abiding and reasonable.
Yes.
The problem is we've now got so many foreigners. And although they love to say that the crime had nothing to do with the immigration, it actually does. Because if you look at it, if you look at the drug trafficking, you look at the Rolex heists, if you look at the a lot of the stuff that's been going on, gangland, the shootings, unbelievable. They tend to involve at least somewhere along the line.
I'm not sure anyone would argue, would they, with the fact that some of the crime is imported, as it were. I think the problems begin when it's extrapolated generally into immigration politics. That's where it gets difficult.
I know they wanted to steer clear of that, but I mean the fact is that crime is changing and has become more sort of, as you say, Hollywood style.
Yes, yeah, and not in a good way. Wearing a Rolex is crazy, says Solar Life Portugal. Diane had one which was stolen. Stick to the replicas, which don't look any different. I mean, I don't get it at all.
I don't even understand why people wear watches anymore. I mean,
there is that, yes.
But they're just heavy old things that you don't need because everywhere you go, even a supermarket till tells you the time.
Yes, and it's like, look at me, I've got 50 grand on my wrist.
Yeah.
And the solution here is to wear a fake one. Well, what would be the point of that except in a robbery, which you could say you've attracted to yourself by flaunting your wealth on your wrist, at which point you have the satisfaction of giving a $100 fake away and you get the last laugh. But that whole thing just seems ridiculous in this day and age. But anyway,
it does seem ridiculous, really, because why are we all showing people what we're worth or not worth? Who cares? Why is it so important?
What makes you wonder, doesn't it? Yes.
Well,
and when you do compare and contrast what's going on in the world, people whose entire lives have been washed away by a flood, and people fighting each other for 100,000 euro watches on the streets of Lisbon. What a crazy world!
In Nepal, I'm sure none of them had Rolexes on their wrists when they were washed away.
I think you're right.
I mean, it's absolutely horrendous. But
let's move on to another one of these stories, which could give you the feeling that things are getting worse crime-wise in Portugal. And this is the PJ having a look at this allegedly drunk driver who ran through a group of people in Albufeira. Tell us more.
Well, on the surface of this is a Portuguese / Angolan who got into his car after drinking a kind of normal excess amount for Albufeira. Probably even he wasn't as
maybe
drunk
you could
as most
qualify
people.
That.
Because,
people do. There is a drink drive thing in this country, isn't there? So he would have been over the limit, but
he
you're
was
not
well
saying
over the limit. He was definitely at a point where the alcohol limit in your blood is considered a crime. But he really couldn't have been that drunk because it was still 1 point something. 1 point something. Okay. So he got into his car because he wanted to go to a discotheque. This is the story. And the police, and he was going down a road where you cannot drive at night because there are so many people drinking. police whistled at him and told him to stop, and he continued on, gathering up revelers on his bonnet and clipping them in the side of the heels and the legs and goodness knows what.
Yes.
In the process, he was pursued, and he continued to disobey, clear orders. And one particular girl is horribly, horribly hurt, and she's got so many injuries it doesn't bear thinking of.
This is a 20-year-old girl called Luan Castro.
Yeah, her
daughter
parents
of
live
Portuguese
in
parents.
Luxembourg, but her father lives. Her uncle lives in Albufeira, Orlando Castro. But this poor girl, and as they said in the early reports, it really, between 24 and 48 hours would have shown how she was going to develop. I don't know if she's going to be paralyzed or whatever, but she's had some terrible injuries.
Just out enjoying a night out, and it ending up like this.
It is unbelievable. But the thing is that obviously straight away, the mayor of Albufeira said, this is an isolated incident. The fact is, though, that police are looking into the possibility that it might not be, for the simple reason that this man's story doesn't really look very convincing, in as much as he only came to Albufeira for 2 days. He had on him driving licenses that were clearly faked. One was English, one was Angolan, I think. He is Portuguese, but in a roundabout way from Angola. Some reports say that he was living in England. So there's a lot of influences that he must have picked up in his 35 years, I think he is.
He's not Portuguese in terms of conscience, let's put it that way.
Yeah, he's Portuguese nationality, but then again, so many people have it now. And they're just looking into the fact that this may not have been an unintentional drunken panic. I mean, I don't know. I know many people in Portugal who are serial drinkers, and they drive. And if they are ordered to stop, they would stop. Mm-hmm. They would not go on a spree like this. So this is it's just the whole story of, I just kept going because, I didn't want to get arrested.
Have we heard that? I mean, you clearly smell a rat with this. Has any defense been offered at all? Is there any? Is that how things work in Portugal? Do you get to hear anything from the defendant ultimately, who's now in remand in Silves prison, I believe?
He's in Silves jail now, and they'll be doing all their. I think there will be more investigations into this, and it may be that he really was as thoughtless about other people as it looks as if he was, but it may be that he had other ulterior motives. We just don't know at this point.
Remains to be seen.
The PJ is looking into his past.
Yes.
And they will find whatever they need to find if it's there.
Okay. Finally then, and somewhat mundane compared to the two stories we've looked at so far, is the reintroduction of the biometrics at the airports. Now, mundane in a sense, but this could affect people's lives quite drastically.
Mundane in a sense, they tried to say that how, it was going to happen, and it was, there would be problems, there'd be pressure points, but, it's all very important. The fact is, it's going to cause an incredible stress again on the airports, and it means that passengers will yet again be faced with these awful bottlenecks.
Yes, indeed. There's the Prime Minister trying the system, as it were, accompanied by police officers. And I think Luis Neves was with him as well, because it will be on his watch, wouldn't it?
He was with him, standing in the back and listening to him saying that Luis Neves was a sterling guy.
Yes, I did see that.
I saw him standing at the back, and I was trying to look at his reactions, and there was absolutely no reaction at all.
No, he was deadpan, wasn't he? It was as if he had other things on his mind. That's actually what I saw him on Portuguese TV.
Almost as if he had been put into some sort of coma.
Yes. So you expect the worst here, that things will back up.
I unfortunately do expect the worst, because, of course, at the moment, we can all say, it's the end of the tourist season, it'll be nothing. But no, hang on, Christmas is coming,
Yes. Well, and it's not as if the airports are quiet, generally speaking. They are international airports that handle an incredible number of people. And actually, yes, I mean, that was my response. It's the end of the tourist season. But actually, I think there's a post-tourist season influx as well, isn't there? Because a lot of other people who don't have kids think, oh, okay, it's September, let's get to Portugal.
Exactly.
Yes,
so I just think it's very sad that we have to do all this. But as you say, sorry, as he said, as the Prime Minister said and pointed out, it is actually quite necessary to have these checks because we have let in so much lowlife. So we do have to start, making sure we know who these people are.
But presumably the choices aren't to have no checks or few checks or a checking system that causes massive queues. If these systems were properly resourced, they needn't cause massive queues, I'm guessing.
I guess they by dint of either that they would cause queues, or you have to have machines that work brilliantly.
Yes.
And enough of them. And
yes.
That's part of the problem, because Anna's investment hasn't really favoured, helping this along.
That's the airport infrastructure.
The airport authority.
Companies. Right. Okay.
Because they've got their own hidden agendas, because they don't really like the whole idea of the Lisbon, the new Lisbon airport in Alcochete. They're constantly trying to get everybody to say we really need Montijo, which of course would be a disaster because of various reasons. But not just that it's on a floodplain, but that it's very close to a marshland that's used by hundreds of thousands of birds for nesting, and so that the likelihood of bird strike would just be much too crazy.
Oh, I see. Okay, going back, Adrian's here with us. Going back to the Rolex story, you can pick up a working wristwatch. What a quaint turn of phrase, a wristwatch at the Chinese shop. Oh, okay. Thank you for plugging it. I hope you have no
I know this is
connection.
The thing, why do we need these silly little things? Why do we need to go around saying, I'd like to be rich, so here's my fake watch?
Yes. Well, this is a very specific shout out to the Portuguese assistant Daniela in the Chinese shop near Coimbra A, where you can buy a wristwatch for €5. That's an unintended commercial there for the Chinese shop near Coimbra A. We have no specific links. I think that's a customer
service. The Chinese shop is employing Portuguese, because most of the Chinese shops down here are all Chinese, which is it's also fine,
Yes, very interesting. Okay, well, I have noticed that Portuguese people do work in the Chinese shops as well, which is
down here we've just got all Chinese.
Really?
Got a
very
lovely
interesting
Chinese
cultural twist.
This town.
Yes, we've not got those shops in the UK, and Jackie loves them, by the way. Well, it's lovely to see so many people joining us this morning with their comments on the news. But coming back to the airports then, you fear the worst. And when we see the PM conceding that it will entail increased pressure on work, that does strike fear into the hearts of us residents here, doesn't it? Because it's not Germany, it's Portugal.
Yeah, he said a few things that were worrying, and one of them was the pressure zone is not going to end. So, we're going. In other words, flying generally, the whole experience has changed and will not go back to being the lovely.
However, is the airport the best place to be monitoring movements that might not be in the best interest of the country? We have a huge land border where I suspect many people who come to not with the country's best interest not uppermost in their thoughts probably enter by land, and this isn't a serving suggestion, it's probably just common sense, isn't it? And we have HJ Hirani here saying if EU countries want to start monitoring who comes in and out of the bloc, there will evidently be disruption when implementing this. Yes, of course. And you might expect a few early disruptions, teething problems, you might say. But we fear the worst, don't we, in Portugal, that it's going to be bad for maybe hours, weeks and months on end while this is embedding. And people who are here to have a nice time, to be on holiday, have no ill will, are going to be inconvenienced. And we will probably discover in months and years to come that those who did come here to cause trouble have come in quite easily to do so.
Well, they come in normally, like the Rolex gang, for instance.
Yes.
They apparently just travel across the land. They get to Europe some way, and then they just travel, or they might even cross into Europe from wherever, but they do it all on land so that they don't have to fly, so that they don't get flagged.
Which would, of course, tread on the toes of the preciousness of the free movement policy of the EU, which is to have free movement on the borders. But to cause additional and perhaps unnecessary problems at the airport doesn't seem to be the right way of going about eking out wrongdoers and bad actors who want to come into the country. There must be better ways of doing that. Natasha, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed your break. We missed you last week.
I did loads of painting.
Yes, well, the keen-eyed among the viewers will see that your kitchen is looking very nice behind you. It's not a backdrop green screen. This is a real Portuguese cottage you see behind you.
But I also had two of my children had birthdays, so it was quite a busy week.
I'm so glad you had a nice time.
I had a brilliant time.
Right, okay. Well, you have a great weekend. Bon fin de to you. And we'll see you again next week. All the best. Bye for now. And thank you to everybody who came and joined us today. And we'll see you again next week. Take care. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.